Have you been freaking out like everybody else in the world about this runaway inflation and what you're going to do with your finances in the coming days? Well, I'm going to give you some insight into to how to specifically address that, especially for artists, here today on 5 Minute Mentoring. Well, hey, my friend, thanks so much for joining me today here on another episode of 5 Minute Mentoring. You know, I'm a student of the news and politics, and I'm always watching things worldwide since we have, artists globally that follow what we do. And I'm always trying to be a valuable voice for you of what's going on and what God's saying and how to really walk in these times. And I don't know about you, but I was watching the news the other day, and the news came out and said 40-year high inflation is right now 7% inflation. You know what that means? I heard this on the news. It said that $3,500 is what it was going to take more this year than last year just for the average family to make it. That means without doing anything differently, it's going to cost you $3,500 more this year than it did last year just to make ends meet. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're somebody that has lived your life just kind of with a job mentality that, well, I can only make as much as they'll pay me, and just trying to scrape by, just trying to barely, make sure that we got enough to pay our bills, to eat, to maybe go on vacation once a year, and hopefully pay our mortgage off at some crazy date in the future, and just kind of hold it together. Inflation can be really, really scary. I mean, eggs and milk and all the normal things that we need, gasoline and just the commodities of life, all those prices are going up. And it can be really scary sometimes to think, well, gosh, what do I do in the middle of this? Like, my job only pays so much. And I don't know about you, but I don't know too many businesses out there that are just willy-nilly giving away 10 or 20% increases to their staff in order just for them to be able to get ahead a little bit and pay for inflationary rates at the grocery store and at the gas tank. The only way, and I say only way for a reason, but the only way for the average person to be able to move through this economic issue and overcome it in their own life in a real micro way, that is, your finances, your pocketbook, is through the development of multiple streams of income, better known as entrepreneurship. When you begin to, at any level, incorporate multiple streams of income into your life, that is, you begin to build multiple streams that will pay you on an ongoing basis so that you're not just relying on one set of income or one income source for your entire provision. That's the only way that you're going to be able to overcome in these economic times and in the coming economic times that we're in. I don't know about you, but during COVID and during all this pandemic that we've walked through these last couple of years, and even just how the economy has changed over the last decade, most people now realize, whether you are retired or whether you are facing retirement, whether you're in the middle of your working years or whether you're just starting out, it's no longer enough and it's no longer safe to have one form of income. That's why I think entrepreneurship is the solution for every person today, no matter what scale you might want to enter that in. For example, you might want to be replacing an income that you've always had and actually transfer, into your art as a full-time business. You may want to replace that part-time job that you've had with income from your art, or maybe from art teaching or creating an online course or a membership or something like that for artists that follow you. Maybe you just want to start actually, creating a part-time side income where you could actually be creating a little bit of income to accentuate and supplement the income that you've got from your job as you continue to think about what days ahead look like. Or maybe you just want to create several things that will be able to supplement the job that you love and that you enjoy. You just want to be able to to get in a healthy place financially. Whatever it is, I just want to tell you, number one, entrepreneurship is the way to overcome inflation. Number two, entrepreneurship is the only way that you can develop real solid multiple streams of income in a way that gives you the freedom and the ability to do the thing that God's called you to do in your life. Number three, when you begin to develop multiple streams of income that are aligned with your unique design and your kingdom assignment, that's where you're going to begin to see financial freedom. That's where you're going to begin to see grace. That's where you're going to begin to see the favor of God showing up in your life. Why? Because you're aligning with who God created you to be. You're aligning with what God's called you to do, and you're giving him the options through lots of different, opportunities, these multiple streams of income, and through your art to begin to bring blessing into your life. Listen, if you've only got one faucet, if you will, one pipeline to be able to receive financial provision in your life, that is a big, big limitation. The problem for a lot of people happens when they start thinking, okay, I do want to do that. Man, I've been listening to your podcast for a while. I want to start developing multiple streams of income, to prepare for the coming days, to get myself in a solid position to have the time and the freedom and the resource to do the thing that God's called me to do and to be a blessing. But I've tried it before. I just don't know how. Maybe you're out there listening today. Maybe you're a regular listener to the podcast and you've been trying to juggle. You've been trying to make this thing work on your own. Maybe you've been using one of the common frameworks that a lot of artists use, either the waiting framework or the striving framework or the comparison framework or the just try to hustle and make it happen framework. Listen, if you're using the real common frameworks that most artists use, you realize that it is a constant juggling act and it's almost impossible to begin to see real progress and real flow happen in your life. It's really difficult to actually thrive as an artist. That's why most artists deal with what we call the starving artist syndrome, because they just haven't figured out a way to make it all work together. And it gets frustrating. And the enemy hits you up in your head and you start getting freaked out and you get paralyzed and then you just give up and you just think, well, this is the way it's always going to be. Listen, it doesn't have to be that way. And God didn't intend for you to just lay down and to be a victim of circumstances. There is a better way. Listen, I want to share with you that better way. There's a framework that the Lord showed me years ago that literally transformed my life. It took me from doing my art on the side as a hobby to creating that as a six-figure art business, six-figure plus some years, where I was able to have the time, energy, freedom, resources to do the things that God's called me to do. And I would love to share that with you. It's a lot more that I can teach right here on 5-Minute Mentoring, but there's a link right here inside the show notes that will give you a link to a free on-demand workshop that I've done. It's 60 minutes. It explains why the things that you've been probably doing and you thought were the way to do it, why they don't work. Why you've been frustrated, why you've been trying to pull your hair out and figure this thing out on your own. And I contrast that with teaching you a different framework that I've used. I call it the Created to Thrive Artist Framework. That's a 5-step framework that anybody can use, anybody can begin to employ in their life. It's simple, it's kingdom-based, and best of all, it enables you to be the artist that God created you to be without all the frustration. All right. I'd love to offer that to you. It's absolutely free right now. You can grab it. Just grab the link. And again, it's on demand, so you can watch it at any time that's convenient for you. All right. Listen, once you start to understand that even though we're in crazy economic times, even though we may be in an inflationary economy right now, listen, there's some great things happening. The housing market is booming. The luxury goods, market and purchases are at all-time highs. The variety of technology solutions and the ability to connect with people are at an all-time high. People have more savings right now than they've had in a long time. And I just really believe there's a Joseph anointing right now. Those of us that maybe you've walked through rejection. Maybe you've been in the pit. Maybe you've been in the prison. Listen, God is strategically, I'm telling you, positioning you to be able to thrive in this time. In the time that everybody else says is not the time to thrive, God is positioning us to be able to thrive and to be able to have the finances and the favor and the freedom to do the things that He has called us to do as creatives in the kingdom. And I'd love to be able to show you a simple framework for you to be able to see that happen in your life. So click that link right here. Wherever you are, remember, don't dismay. God is on the throne. He's got great things for you, and you were created to thrive. All right, my friend, I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.